What's up guys, Schmitty here, welcome back to another video, and as you guys can tell by the title of the video, I did it. I went back and I played Call of Duty World War II. Now, it's been a little bit since I went back and actually played this game and got the footage that you guys are seeing. It's been about a couple weeks or so now, but I recently got thinking about it when I ran this gameplay into my files and just kind of watched it back and started thinking back about Call of Duty World War II, and it really got me reminiscing about last year with the game. Now, if you guys have been around my channel for any length of time, you guys know how much I hate Call of Duty World War II. I stopped playing this game after a few months or so of getting into it. I kept trying to play it and come back to it and give it more opportunities, and ultimately I had had enough of the game. Sometime in the month of February, I just stopped playing it. I hated the gameplay, I hated the way it flowed, I just didn't find any fun in the game at all, and I've expressed that many times on my channel. And then I got to thinking about what happened with the game around this time a year ago. Around this time a year ago, we got the Division's overhaul in Call of Duty World War II, which I believe was the only time that we've ever seen a massive overhaul to the way in which a Call of Duty multiplayer has functioned. They pretty much redid the entire multiplayer, at least in the way of things functioned in terms of the created class system with the Divisions. The game and the way you created your class and played from there on out was just entirely different. But not only did that change, everything about Sledgehammer and what they did with Call of Duty World War II seemed to change as well. Because Call of Duty World War II had a god-awful launch. A lot of things weren't working. There obviously wasn't a ton of support to the game. There were some things that just weren't finished. And we started to get more updates as, you know, some more things started to get fixed. They were able to start rolling out more updates and more content. But where things really seemed to flip a switch for Call of Duty World War II was when the Division's overhaul came out. Not only did the entire gameplay change, but the type of content, the amount of content, and just basically the whole idea that Sledgehammer had for World War II just totally flipped. The game started getting a ton more support, ton more updates, a bunch of great content was just continuously added to the game following that point, and it was ultimately just a really big turnaround for COD World War II. Now, after that happened, I didn't really find myself enjoying the gameplay of it that much more, but one thing that I realized now looking back on it is all that stuff that they did following the Division's overhaul kept me coming back to the game, and like I said, it kept me coming back to a game that I didn't even really enjoy. And I think that's pretty impressive and pretty remarkable that Sledgehammer was able to do that. I had written off COD World War II. I was done. I didn't really have any interest. I mean, at the end of it, it was Call of Duty, and I really wanted to give it all the chances in the world, but I was just pretty much done with it. And then they just totally overhauled the multiplayer, put out so many more updates with all new weapons, some free maps made it to the game, some awesome limited time modes came in, and that really just flipped the switch for COD World War II. And I just think that was such an incredible thing that with all the updates that the game was getting and all the content and all the just new stuff all the time following that point in April, it kept bringing me back to the game even though I didn't really enjoy it that much. And as I talked about in my last video where I reviewed the first 6 months of Black Ops 4, I talked about this exact thing and how it's been the complete opposite for Black Ops 4. Black Ops 4, I really like the gameplay. I like how the game plays, I like how a lot of things are set up, I love the maps so much more than the ones in World War II. I think Black Ops 4 from a core gameplay standpoint is awesome, but it's just not getting the right support and the right amount of content. Obviously, it didn't launch with very much content. It had more maps than what World War II did at launch, but significantly less guns than we had seen in previous games. Just not a lot to do in terms of challenges or just things to go for outside of your typical Dark Matter challenges and Prestige Master challenges. None of that was really there, and looking back on COD World War II, there was always something to do. There were 6 daily challenges that rotated each and every day. You had a weekly contract that usually gave you something really good. It was either some kind of guaranteed supply drop or a variant weapon. There were contracts over in the Quartermaster in which you could purchase them and pretty easily get all the DLC weapons if you didn't really have the credits to buy the special variant when they came out. And overall, as far as content support, at least following that April point, I know before that it was pretty dry for World War II, but following that point in April, things were really, really good for World War II. Granted, it was too late for a lot of people, and it just wasn't really worth it for that many people to come back, which is very understandable. I mean, you know, first impressions and, you know, having a great launch and great support out the gate is everything. You know, 6 months in, throwing all that stuff just is terrible timing, but at the same time, better late than never, and especially for the people that enjoyed the game. And it really got me thinking, wondering, and honestly really hoping that we can see the same type of thing with Black Ops 4. I've been thinking about it for a while, and I can't remember off the top of my head if I've mentioned it on the channel or not, But I really wanted to see Black Ops 4 get some kind of major overhaul like World War II did. Not necessarily because I think the gameplay is just that broken or it's in need of some kind of overhaul. Surely I like to see some things changed, and you know, if they're planning on keeping specialists around and keeping that the main core gameplay, then I think some kind of overhaul there and tuning to just kind of make that better and just not as annoying. And so I think an overhaul there would be nice for a lot of players, because I know a lot of people don't really like specialists, but I feel like if they were brought down back more to where they were in Black Ops 3, to where they were just kind of a bonus weapon, then I don't think things would be as bad. But honestly, where I'd really like to see the major overhaul is just in things to do in support for the multiplayer. I really haven't been able to get into Black Ops 4 multiplayer, and the times I've hopped on it, I've just found myself thinking, like, why am I here? There's really nothing to do. Black Ops 4 is a good MP, but it's not like, you know, massively my favorite, and I just enjoy the Blackout mode that much more. But at the end of the day, if there were more things to do and a lot more support from the multiplayer, then I would definitely want to play it that much more. And so that's where I would like to see a real overhaul with the game, and it's just something that, looking back, I really appreciated with Call of Duty World War II. I think it just really says something for Sledgehammer and for the game overall, that for a game that I totally wrote off and just didn't really like, and still to this day I'm not a huge fan of the gameplay, I just think it was great, all the support that they gave the game. Even though it was late, better late than never. And I just keep kind of waiting and hoping that the same thing is going to happen with Black Ops 4, that they're just kind of sitting on something massive and big to just totally fix the game. And I know it sucks overall that we even have to discuss this multiple years for Call of Duty, that they have to do this and overhaul their game, and finally 6 months in, you know, bring some significant support. But overall, I just want what's best for the games. And I think at this point, it's time for that to come in. It's time for there to be a bunch of challenges for people to go for. A lot better items and things like the contraband stream. Just a lot more overall support for the game. Basically, what I'm getting at with this video is I went back and played World War II just because it kind of hit me that it might be fun to go back and check out. And while it was fun for a couple games, what I really took away from it was looking back at what happened from April on last year in World War II is a game that I didn't even really like that much overall from a gameplay standpoint, was able to bring me back just with a ton of support and ton of updates. And honestly, Treyarch, Activision, if you're going to keep Black Ops 4 rolling for another 6 months to keep people interested in your franchise up until Modern Warfare 4, you better be strongly considering doing the exact same thing. It's one of the things World War II did right, you know, as a game that, you know, like I said, I wasn't really a big fan of. It's something they really capitalized on, and it's one thing that when people look back at World War II, they give them a lot of credit for. The studio didn't give up, they kept supporting, they kept rolling with the game, and kept doing things with the community, which at the end of the day, even though things didn't start out great, earned them a lot of respect. And I think Treyarch, at the very least, owes that exact same thing to happen with Black Ops 4. Anyway, a little bit of a nostalgia train back to last year with World War II. Just a lot of great things that Sledgehammer did last year that hopefully, if we're lucky, Treyarch's got sitting just right around the corner for us as well. The way things have been going, not going to hold my breath, but nonetheless, just some thoughts running through my mind going back and revisiting World War II. But anyway, down below in the comments, I want to know what you guys think about Call of Duty World War II. Were you someone that enjoyed it throughout the entire year? Were you someone that absolutely hated the game? Did you come back to the game after the Division's overhaul and really enjoy and appreciate the game a lot more? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. But anyway, that is going to do it for today's video, guys. So if you enjoyed, be sure to smack the Schmidt out of like button down below. If you guys can share, come over and contact me, please subscribe button down below as well. 30 videos go live. Hopefully you guys all have a good one. I will see you guys on another video. So long, everybody.